So, welcome back, guys. Hopefully, all is well at your side of things, and we are just about ready to get underway into the next stage of what we're doing. I do believe Dogbert is still with me alive out there somewhere. How are you doing, Dogbert?
I'm doing very well. Been looking forward to this match.
I think we all are. And if you aren't just kind of working out which one we'll be watching, which I kind of probably let you know a little bit by showing you me photoshopping midway through, we will quickly chuck you into the screen capture there so you can see exactly what we'll be watching. It'll be ESC up against Meet Your Makers. Now, ESC had a bit of a shaky start, let's say, in Cup number 1. They really didn't show what they were made of, and they walked away with very minimal points there. But they're certainly a team who can contest and compete at a high level. Now, what do you think we can expect, with them facing off against MYM of all teams here?
Well, they had a very obviously last EMS they got knocked out by Pyrogen, and they have actually went out and beat them this time.
Yeah,
2-1.
I was going to say it's a nice little way to kind of finish things off there. A little bit of a turnaround.
Yeah, good revenge for them. I was watching their games; they did a very good job. It'll be very interesting to see how they're going to come up against one of the most decorated teams in BF4 right now, which is Meet Your Makers.
Yes.
A very, very consistent team. They got to the final in the last EMS against Fnatic, but they had a very tough ride, and it's not easy to beat Fnatic. I think a lot of teams have found that out.
Yep.
But they are a very dangerous and solid team, and one which you can never really take lightly. You got to bring your A game every time for MYM.
Yeah, most certainly we are underway. So on the Russian side, it will be MYM. ESC will be on the US side. And already we're seeing that B point being the real focus of the contest here. 3 players present from both teams, both getting on the initial grab will be coming from the Russian side, which will be Meet Your Makers, but can they hold on to it?
Yeah, you see Outsider here, he's very much a smart player for the ESC guys, trying to go around the back, and he's already causing a lot of issues at MYM holding this flag.
Yes, certainly. It's not an easy take here. It is currently in favour to ESC, but MYM, they're normally hot on the heels. They're straight in there. It's normally a bit of a one-sided affair, but they're certainly being held back for now. Finally, Ducky Chan has got himself in towards that flag, but there's still ESC members around, and he's not having an easy time. Going to have to med pack up, but he's been taken down. And my God, ESC are certainly coming out of the stops here.
Yeah, it is, but Safe has already broke through onto the C flag, and this is where a lot of the action is going to be going down in this game, over on that C flag. It's so important, but B is constantly being fought over right now.
Yeah, it really is. No team really breaking away either. It's been back and forth. A and C have fallen into the hands of Meet Your Makers. Maybe a little bit of an over-focus from ESC Gaming, do you feel? Or do you think they can work back from this? Because right now they're against a triple cap here.
Yeah, especially putting that much focus into the B flag and not being able to pick it out. I mean, Outsider was pretty much their jumping off point on that flag, and it just didn't go their way. And that's a full domination cap very early in the game, and MYM looking really dominant right now. It looked a little shaky on B flag at first, but they just kept calm and kept their composure and brought in the right amount of reinforcements, didn't overcommit, gathered 2 flags in return, and get full domination cap.
Oh my God, Laxer was in the perfect position to come around the side then and support on that A capture. If he'd been there, he would have picked up 2 perfect kills to send MYM back a little bit further there. We are seeing ESC at least claiming 1 flag at the moment, but it's still not really ideal, especially with MYM being so strong at this point. Kazam still trying to keep around it, try and watch the players crossing into that A side, because we are seeing MYM making a counter push. They're not happy with 2 flags. They want all 3, but here comes the counter back from ESC. They're on that C side. Can they hold on to it though?
C is going to be one of these flags where usually a lot of teams invest quite much into defending it, but the way MYM is spreading out makes you think they're not as so bothered about it as maybe most teams generally are. They're using the tunnels and the ESC guys to really just get between their positions. They know that B is going to be covered. That means that pretty much the outside area is going to be difficult to get through. But right now, MYM are really, really looking good.
Yeah, they certainly are very secure. We are seeing a little bit of a breakout from ESC just to secure once again that A site or try and get it back in their hands, but outside has been taken down. So this could swing either way depending on how well these 2 MYM players can just lock this one out, make sure there's no crosses getting in. Flax finding a kill there, and that's once again secured it. But it feels as though it's drips and drabs coming from ESC. They haven't been able to make a concisive push. Maybe they don't need to with lags. They're picking up 2 lovely kills back to back, but you got to look at the bigger picture. It's still a 2-1 hold, and those tickets are getting quite low already.
Yeah, 150 tickets to start off with, and as soon as MYM were managed to get a full domination cap straight off the bat, it always meant that they were going to have the bleed, no matter where ESC guys went, unless they went in and got the one-on-ones, the 2v2s. Unfortunately, they haven't been doing that. They have got the bleed for the first time in the game, and if they manage to hold it. You see, ESC is where it's going wrong for them constantly.
Yeah, they've never had that comfortable hold there. They've always been bullied off by MYM, and with MYM retaining that B site for quite some time, it's been quite comfortable then for push towards C, I can imagine. But we are seeing a little bit of a more decisive play coming from ESC, focusing down on the B site, may make a push through towards C, but they could get their first 2-1 comfortable hold here for a good some time, unless MYM just completely focus out that B site, I can imagine.
Yeah, the B-A hold, though, is not the one you want. You want the B-C hold because they're mutually... they can defend each other. They can actually support each other.
Yeah.
A is so far away, it's so difficult. You're spread so thin, but you're just going to get overwhelmed at one flag.
Yeah, it's almost like your C point, you know, if you look back to Locker, for example, it is kind of that further away one that's not so easy necessarily to keep in mind, but Kazam trying to do what he could there on the B side, but once again, it's fallen to MYM. They retain the BC hold, and now I think they're going to even try and focus onto A, because Wafi's in a great position. They're just watching the back, waiting for the players to push out from the opposition, which is ESC, and they're doing so. Maybe overextended a little bit, I feel. They're kind of in dribs and drabs. They're not pushing as a collective. Why do you think that is? A little bit not as decisive, let's say, as their opponent?
I don't think they feel as comfortable going out and spreading out as, say, MYM are. If you look on the map, they're pretty comfortable being spread out here.
For sure.
And I'm not too sure exactly what is the reason for it, but it seems to be working out quite well. They like to come in and just brute force and just push MYM off the flags. But A is going to be contested, and as soon as you get a wipe at C, a spawn above A is almost guaranteed.
Yeah, it's almost gifted to you there, so it's always a nice little counter that you can keep in mind. So hopefully MYM can get this one locked down, as they have. They still have the B site, so C's still not too far away. The likes of S8F still very much present here, but being quite a passive role. I think he may have been spotted earlier on, but the squad will be spotting him, so he will have some backup soon. He's stayed unspotted. He's picked up the kill onto Lagza. There are further members of ESC still on this point who are counter-capping and making sure B at least stays within their grasp at the moment. Nice little play from outsider, trying to go on the flank there, catching a glimpse under the tank, doesn't get the kill, and Flax just about stayed alive long enough there to allow the rest of his team to get back, lock down B, and at least keep us, one sight into the hands of MYM, but they have lost out on CNA here.
Yeah, but they've already got the attack and the Ducky Chan and Punchroll. If there's two people I wouldn't want to have to deal with at a flag, it would be these two. That's the killing power of MYM that's been sent out to A, and they pretty much just barreled in and took that flag.
Yeah, he did, but not for long. We are seeing a little bit of a counterplay coming from ESC. Outsider has got himself on the point here, so he will be capping this one through. Wafi immediately comes around, however, just takes him down straight away. And once again, ESC are just being bullied off of these sites. That B site just touched their hand for a second, and then MYM appear, claw it back, and lock it down. This is looking a little bit one-sided now. But credit to, the ESC side. They've taken a good chunk of the points away from MYM, who are looking so dominant at the start.
Yeah, MYM got the start they wanted. They got the wipe at B, but more importantly, they also cleaned up C and A, and it pretty much a full domination from then on out. And since then, the ESC guys really have struggled to get back into the game. They have done. They've stabilized it, but they never stabilize it for very long. And as soon as like you said, MYM just come in, bully them off the flag, and then it is all changed. And the ESC guys are constantly having to rush for new flags. They've never had a stable line of defense, and there's a big kill there. As soon as Jensen get picked up by Wafi, it pretty much stops any aggression onto that B flag and a possible full domination.
Yeah, indeed. And that's the one thing with MYM. They're so good at just keeping these teams on their feet. No one feels comfortable against them. Even Fnatic started to get a little bit pushed. It was a very close game all in all. And Ducky Chan really did lock out that A side. As you said, finally gets taken down by two members of ESC who've swarmed the side. But Flax is still present. Picks up one. Picks up the double. That is a lovely little reclaim. He should be able to get the revive on the Ducky Chan. And they can lock this one down by themselves. And that could be the triple cap coming in just to add salt to the wound. With only 10 tickets remaining here on the first half of the first map, MYM are looking ready to take themselves through to the finals already.
Yeah, and what is scary about this is that the ESC guys picked this map.
Yep. Yep, that's slightly unnerving. It's that's not a scoreline you want to be coming up against, especially when you've got MYM who are so good at just keeping that pressure on, constantly making it hard work for you. You never feel comfortable. I think it's the best way to put it. As you said, ESC never had their setup they wanted. They never had a constant line of defense, and even the kills reflect that. And that's a very rare thing I feel in Battlefield that you see being so predominant. Even though a team can have complete lockout, complete control, kills don't always mean as much match, let's say, as other games, for example. But even in this one, 11-5, 14-7, 15-3 for Wafi. And you said he got some of the most vital kills in this as well. That's a really important factor to me. He just looks so strong throughout.
Yeah, Wafi, one of the UK's finest, really coming out there and doing really well. Outside of, though, for the ESC guys, really a key player for them in the right place at the right time. But unfortunately for him, they just weren't able to put it all together.
No, they did feel like they were lacking a little bit at times. And what does it take to get that consistency? You know, to be able to actually set up that sort of defense that we see working so well for the Fanatics, for the Dignitas's, for the MYMs? How do you get that comfortable zone there?
I really think it just comes with constant practice as a 5 over and over again. You'll just get used to it. But it's not an easy thing to gel straight away. The MYM guys have been playing from Battlefield 3 as a 5 pretty much. Though the ESC guys have got maybe the same kind of lineup they've had for quite a while. I mean, they've got some players from a few other teams that they've kind of molded together. They just don't have that kind of mix that MYM do. And MYM, a word I constantly say about them, consistency. They just have it. They just seem to always be making the right decisions at the right time and make very few mistakes.
Yeah, and it's impressive to see. You know, most teams, they've got their downfalls. They've got, you know, a couple of issues here and there that are quite apparent. But these guys do seem to be, you know, having everything right. And they seem like a great collective and a good bunch to actually play with. And they look like they've got the formula down for what works. And I always love watching the initial exchange towards that B side. Who has the actual advantage coming into this, the US side or the Russians?
You would say that the US has an advantage, but it really can go either way. Sometimes the player who moves from C can play a big part through the middle, and that's something that's just happened now. Wafi just takes out Kazam, and this pretty much gives Wafi an opportunity. C is safe for this point. There's nothing he has to worry about. He can choose to go to A, or he can come round and influence the fight at B, and I think that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, and he's in a perfect position on the flank, completely behind the opposition. That B site could pretty much be in his hands in seconds. He knows they're going to be spawning by that A section, but can he get the kills? We knew he could do it before. Pushing in now, just going to claim that flag. Doesn't get the kill onto Lags there, so he's going to hold on to this one for just another second. Punch is in trouble. The retake coming from ESC is pretty damn dangerous. MYM need to find their footing here. And considering ESC already have that A and B site, are MYM overly reading into B here?
Yeah, they have indeed, but they have two guys defending the C flag, and they do get the pick there, and that's what they want. So C isn't going to be a worry, but they've just been completely shut out of B. So for the ESC guys, they're going to have to look for a push onto the C flag here. They can try and hold A, but the problem with A is it's just so hard to hold.
Yeah, we saw a 2v1 going in favor to ESC, but now there are 3 members present for MYM here towards that A site, and they are outnumbered, outgunned. There's been a quiet lull by B. They're surely going to know what's coming, and already Punchroll is going to be edging his way forward. I think they're going to negate the A site for just now, get his teammate up, pick up Kazam, and start working with Wafi here to try and get the penetration towards the site. But Outsider picking up the kills, but they are on the flag right now. That is ticking down. There's a player merely steps away from Punch. He's going to challenge. He picks it up. They're going to get this one. What is their move now for ESC? They've been kind of bullied out once again of the 2 sites they were locking down. They won B, but it feels as though they won the small skirmish and lost the war.
They should have gone from B to C. Trying to hold on to A like that is just too risky. Any commitment you put into the A is going to leave B very, very vulnerable. And trying to come through the tunnels like they did there is the worst place to come in. It's just, you've got no avenue of escape. And right now, ESC guys have no flag at all.
Yeah, B now just being up for grabs. A and C in the hands of MYM. You can see, look at the discipline from Punch there. Doesn't take too quickly to the shot. Picks up the kill anyway. Takes down Explo. He knew another teammate was near. Calls it to Ducky Chan. There's the pickup on A. And they can once again lock it down. It's perfect team cohesion time and time again for these guys. And ESC need to bring something new here. They really need to work this out because at the moment it feels as though they're just hitting their heads against a brick wall. Even though the game's still fairly close in points.
Yeah, but the previous round is going to be what is going to force the ESC guys to come forward here. They really haven't made much of an effort onto the C flag. I think this is the only time they're going to, and it isn't going great straight away.
Yeah, Lags are picking up a bit of a straggler from MYM, but as you mentioned, not going too well. A is currently up in the air. That should fall to MYM, but C going back in the hands of ESC. So it's a bit of an exchange here. But, you know, ESC could come out on top if they can finally start thinking about that C site, but they might lose out B in the exchange. They're already starting to think about it, but Flax is there watching that cross, spotting out outsider, picking up the kill on the cross, and this should be at least for now a 2-1 hold, but I feel as though B might go MYM's way.
Yeah, and this is just down to the rotation here. The ESC guys really aren't too sure on where MYM are going, and they're
Yeah.
not committing anyone to the defense properly. And by the time they do get there, it's too late. And MYM are all over the flag. And right now, I think it's a little too late for the ESC guys to make much of this round.
Yeah, let's bear in mind, if ESC fall below 95 tickets on that right side of the US team, they're pretty much done on this first map, which was their choice. And at present, they're at a 1-1 hold, but A and C both being contested, B still in the hands of MYM. And, well, it's going to be A capped over for MYM as well, who are going to have the challenge of that respawn, but with only a mere couple of tickets remaining, it's not looking good. And the mowdown coming in from Flax is just going to make it worse. 98 tickets remaining, that's without the respawns coming in, and they're against a 2-1 hold. I think this map is pretty much out of the way for them here, but let's look at the second map they've got coming up. It's MYM's choice, it's Storm, and, you know, looking at the way they've been so cohesive on this one, how they played against Fnatic yesterday, they are a force to be reckoned with. ESC are in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because this round has been very, very competitive compared
Certainly.
to the first round, which was an absolute blowout. Full domination cap within 2 minutes, and just really never really got back into the game. But ESC now picked it up, warmed up a little bit more maybe, and making a bit more of a fight of it. Unfortunately for them, they didn't win by many tickets last time, so it doesn't really matter. But it does mean going into the next map that they will be all warmed up and ready to go.
Yeah, and that's the important thing that we have to keep in mind, is hopefully they do kind of get themselves a bit more settled. But when I watched the MYM team on Storm yesterday, the reason I'm talking about this, obviously, guys, is because the game is now over. ESC, well, the map is over, should I say, not the game. But the way MYM played it, they were so dominant on the sites that I just felt were almost impossible to be dominant on. They very rarely, you know, got involved at the close quarters aspect of it. They were so comfortable from afar. They were really forcing the likes of Value, Winghaven, Too Easy, Unfixed, all of the guys to really challenge them on their terms. And when a team starts leading the pace like they were, I feel it's so hard to bring the game back to yourself. And, you know, if ESC are finding it hard to set up these defenses and control the pace on their map, I feel as though Storm is going to really be very, very troublesome for them.
Yeah, but it is one of these maps that comes down to building control.
Very true.
A few good 1v1s, and you end up with possibly a really, really difficult position to be thrown out of. But that was something MYM really didn't struggle with in that last game. So you kind of feel that they're a bit more worrying when it comes down to those 1v1s. Players like Punchroll and Waffy and obviously pretty much everyone on MYM's team can do it. But some of their lineup can just be one of those players that you just do not want to end up fighting in a dark alley in BF.
Yeah. It is slightly unnerving. You look at some of these teams, and they have those two players. I always feel there's always two players that are just, they're slayers almost, that can go anywhere they want, retain some form of advantage, and just win those one-on-ones. You know, I see it with Unfixed and Value all the time. You know, for Fnatic, I find it a very easy option to go to. But, you know, MYM display that to me so many times. But for me, it's not just those two players that you generally see. These guys have so many people who are able to fit that role when it's necessary. And Storm, as you mentioned, truly allows for that to happen, and I'm a little bit worried for ESC here.
I think this is a map that they've already managed to win against Pyrogen. It's not exactly a terrible map for them, but they are taking this map a kind of interesting approach. They're sending 3 towards B and 2 over to A. You usually see 3 over A, both teams committing 2, because both teams know that B is the most important place on the map, and A is going the way of MYM immediately.
Yeah, quite drastically. They just won those one-on-ones, like we said. Ducky Champ and Punch, those two dangerous players, picking that up. They've already got C in the bag for themselves, so they don't need to worry too much about that. B is the one side they don't have, but already they have players kind of present within this area, forcing Explio to kind of get out of the buildings they just so want to control. He's been taken down, and MYM just already looking fairly strong, and they get that set up so quickly as well. B, they don't need to kind of immediately get to, but they know they can just bully their way in. Waffy now gets himself on the site. 2 players respawning to his right, spamming out those nades, trying to keep them at bay. They're losing out on the A side, but they should get the exchange here.
Yeah, safe for MYM went huge. crept up on the 2 defenders at the B house and managed to wipe them out. He is that pretty much opened up the B flag for MYM completely. With the BC hold right now, this is what they want. They've got the building control, but they do... No, that's bad. Safe goes down at B, and this is going to open up the B flag. More importantly, A is also being threatened, and MYM here looks a little shaky.
Yeah, they've not found that comfortable hold now. ESC just found a way to really pest them. They've had to work back to A. Ducky-chan once again present. Punch not too far away. He's just going to lock himself into those lovely little containers and just batten down the hatches, because already ESC are starting to look towards that C side. They've got Outsider pressuring it, but 2 players facing him off from that A rotate. But I feel as though ESC are really nagging MYM. They're not allowing a comfortable place in this yet for them. And it's pushing MYM to their limits a little bit. They've got the 2-1 again, but this is certainly no walk in the park.
No, but the MYM guys are playing quite deep in their defense here. They're actually happy to go for C and A and hold. They've got some quite nice positions. They know that ESC haven't picked this map, maybe are going to be coming out quite aggressive, and they are being made to pay for it. MYM here are in a very good position. They don't have the most dominant flag on the map. They don't have control of the houses, but they do have a 2 flag cap and a bleed.
Yeah, but for how long is the question? Already ESC are getting themselves towards the A site there. It's Lagzer and a couple of others getting to those defensive lockdown positions to hold this one for a little bit longer of time. And it might just pay off. They're looking comfortable here. They've got B, they've got C. Don't get me wrong, Waffy is immediately on that B flag. He's not taking no for an answer. Going to be getting in towards that 22 HP left. He needs to get those nades spammed out straight away to stay alive for a couple of seconds more. But the ESC boys are swarming towards him, and he's been taken down there. But he capped it just long enough to get it over into their favor and just kind of push ESC a little bit out of their comfort zone. But, you know, as you mentioned, ESC are not taking this lightly, and I've got to mention the adaptation from Cup 1 coming out from MYM. They are not playing this like they were playing against Fnatic. This is a very different setup they're running for, and I think it's just ESC pushing them out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, but playing against Fnatic is always going to make you feel a little bit weird. I think we're all involved in the Valutaja fan club.
I got my membership yesterday. It was great. Little badge.
Escape's got all the buildings around the B flag, but they are not being able to push MYM out. MYM got a very close spawn to that B flag, though, which is very, very critical, especially when you've had a very close fight there. And right now, ESC really struggling, but they're pushing B and they're going to push C at the same time. So this, even though the tickets might not reflect it completely, this is a really close game.
Yeah, it's been back and forth. The exchanges have been vital. B is falling to answer for ESC for now, at least. Outsider just about staying alive, picking that one up. C being switched over as well. They are going for a triple cap here. Going to try and split the attention, push MYM to make a choice. And where am I going to go to?
They'll take A, and then they're going to try and push. I don't know. The thing is, it was quite interesting because Ducky-chan spawned literally right next to Lagers as he was walking past the C flag. And it was just like, oh, that's a very interesting spawn. And he didn't even see him. And he just walked off. But now you can see that it's Ducky-chan doing the exact same thing that Lagers did over at C. And now he's the one capping the C flag.
Yeah, indeed. MYM trying to pick up the pieces here. They've got A, as you said they would. Ducky-chan going for that C-side. Lagzer now peers up, rears his ugly head, gets taken down, but Kazam is immediately there. But those barrels are not helping the matter. The nades are falling in towards Ducky, but he's got backup in the form of Punch. S8 picks one up, and they're back in control. And that's what I like about MYM. They can turn it in an instant. But credit to ESC, they're not going down without a fight on this one.
Yeah, MYM not afraid to spread out there. They attacked B, they attacked the radio house, they attacked C, and they won all of those fights. At C, they managed to get the pick on the man at the B house who was covering at C. As soon as that went down, the B flag was wide open, and they went in for it. And MYM here looking really good, but they are losing C, and they do not have control of A right now, so the bleed is going to go back on them. 98 tickets to 65, completely not out of the realm of possibility of a big turnaround. ESC are shown to be a lot more aggressive in this one than they were in the previous map.
And I feel as though it's suiting them a little bit. Maybe the map kind of tailors to it a little bit more. Let's keep that in mind. But still, they're certainly showing they can compete here. And they've been really pushing MYM to keep making these correct choices, which they're doing. They've reclaimed the sites now. And now it's all about C for these guys. It is falling in favor to, well, MYM for now. But, you know, we are seeing the fire kind of coming out. It's Kazam and Co. bringing the fire, coming up the hill. Lags are now pushing in. Waffy is left on a minimal amount of health. Finally gets taken down. But Ducky-chan coming around the back. He's going to brute force his way in here. This is a triple cap, only being turned over by C, and already MYM are looking to contest this one.
Yeah, look at Safe, 13 for 4, and all of those kills have been critical. Shot him, one-man army shutting down the push on the B flag. And with an A-B hold now, this is looking really, really strong for MYM. They've got the 2 buildings they need to cover B and A. It looks like the ESC guys will push on that B flag. But the thing is, without control of the houses, it's so hard to keep B.
Yeah, and S8F is on the prowl. He's pushed his way out of the houses, picks up Kazam, just picking at the pieces of ESC, and they're trying that B site, but with S8F on form, you don't really challenge him. We saw him, in Cup number 1 being a monster with that Scar, and he's one of the players I always kind of found interesting because he was one of the only ones to consistently try. But MYM are fairly surrounded here. Their players, for ESC up by that C point. There was a good couple of them spread around, but still MYM stays strong. They keep the 2-1 hold, and they keep that ticket bleed really affecting ESC. They're down to 26 tickets here.
That is true, but then it comes down to where the spawns come in. This map is one of those ones where spawns are kind of dangerous. They can come in behind C, B, and A, and more importantly, almost right on top of said flag. So that's where it gets a bit awkward. You wipe someone out and then find them at the flag you just wiped them out at, or worse, at one that you have no one at, and Waffy there clearing out C. And yeah, looking good for MYM right now.
Yeah, I feel as though they found their pace finally. ESC getting kind of pushed off those 2 points they're holding so dear. They had the A and C. Now it's gone in favor to MYM with 21 tickets very quickly slipping away from ESC. It's going to start feeling a little bit real, but 72, if they even walked away with that, that's not bad. But they're already challenging on A. They should be able to turn that one over, but can they hold the 2-1 here, or are they going to go for a triple? Because already Outsiders on C.
This is what you need to do at this point in the game. The ESC guys, they know they're far behind. Though I think he's probably going to get cleaned up at C. Yeah. This is what they need to do. They need to just take as much tickets off of MYM as possible. They've got another round to play.
Well, this is going to be vital play from Kazam. He's going to be the only one really present on the B side. He's going to be playing it slowly, allowing the respawns to come in, but they've got to get involved pretty quickly. It's a 1-1 hold. They're not getting on the B side, but look at that. The slight split from the side will swing this one back in favor to ESC, but can they hold out on A? No one yet challenging. All of MYM focused on the B side as well. It's not fully capped. Now it is. That ticket bleed will be against MYM, and this is getting a little bit closer now.
Yeah, they're really struggling to finish out this series. They've got control over the B house, and they are pushing on the B flag. The destroyed house over between the A and C flag, which is going MYM's way. And I think that might have been what they needed there, is they're probably just going to push through and take B. There's no one that can threaten the C flag from the ESC guys, and they really are kind of spread out and kept far away from any flag that they need to get. And they just got wiped at B.
Yeah, that was a little bit disastrous, really. But a 2-1 hold, nevertheless, for MYM. The ticket bleed will get very real now for the opponent. They might just go for the triple cap just to really keep hold of as many tickets as possible. But still, 49, very close game coming out. That was a lot better than the first game we saw there. So already, MYM being pushed a bit. ESC clearly warming up in this one. And I want to see what they can bring, because there was some phenomenal individual performance. I think we can't ignore the fact that S8F went 19-6 in that game, but Janssen as well, 16-8. They were certainly keeping up in this kind of, if you're looking at kills to death there.
Yeah, I mean, I always usually point to players like Ducky-chan and Punchroll.
Yep.
Obviously today, not getting as many kills as they generally do, but they are
and
dangerous.
You're meant to be the analysis. God
yeah,
damn it, wow.
They are dangerous. They're dangerous people. But at the end of the day, MYM, it's all about where you're putting your players, and
Certainly.
sometimes they're always going to be in a place where they might be overwhelmed quite quickly. Either way, Jensen and Kazam and Outsider are always players you got to be worried about. Outsider, very smart play. Jensen and Kazam have been around for a while, and yeah, they know where to put themselves.
Yeah, and it showed. There was a lot closer game. We will be going back into the second half here. And do remind me of the points there, because I think I wrote it down, but I have several pads of paper. 49. Very close game, actually. I'm kind of surprised that came down so low, because it got to that kind of 20 points marker, and, MYM was still sitting up in the 70s. So it was a really kind of good turnaround, or at least a bit of a scrap coming out from ESC at the end there.
It's really what they needed. They couldn't lose that round with some. If they'd lost with over 70 or 80, there's no real way you can bring it back. With 49, it's possible. Yeah, you've got notepads. I've got a beer coaster I'm writing this stuff on.
I'm so proud you retain that professional nature in any occasion. I love you,
the only thing I
Dogba.
could find to write on. I
The
mean,
North, it's scarce of paper and pens. I love the North before anyone kills me. I'm just, I'm not seeing the players connecting just yet. Am I going mad here?
You're not going crazy. Some of them have started, but I don't think we're going to go live. I think they're going to have to another restart.
They'll have to go for the restart on that one.
I think they're probably having a toilet break or something. Yeah, because
kids
as soon
these
as you
days.
see the flying plane comes out, that's generally around the point, that they're not taking it too seriously.
Is that really out there? I want
Yeah.
to see it.
The SUV is flying about.
It's not as good, and if you guys haven't heard, Dogba is a bit of a glorious man on any sort of trolley equipment within Battlefield 4. It's impressive how you pull these things. But then again, Punch is doing backflips. I haven't seen you doing backflips.
I can't do that with the bot, though I can if I go upstairs because it just bugs out and flies around all over the place.
It does get a little bit terrifying when it's like chasing you upstairs. It's you never know what's going to happen. It could fly off and just hit you in the face. You never know. But still, we aren't just going to wait for these guys to get into game. Obviously, ESC probably just talking things through. This is what it comes down to. The first map really not in their favor at all. It went quite drastically against them, really, and it didn't go well in the end. So, they did a lot better on the second map, but they need to kind of evaluate how can we convert that into the second half here? What can we do? And I'm trying to think of their options. What kind of happened in that game that allowed, the likes of MYM to get that early advantage? Was it just the way they played off the spawn? Because I always feel MYM are very strong at the start of games and then maybe get a little bit worked out.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case, and that's also another thing for the team UMAV as well. They usually have a very strong start usually, and then around about the middle they start getting a bit shaky, and then they usually end either strong or they lose. I think the thing that MYM showed in that previous game is they weren't really concerned for B as much. They went for C and A, and they held it. They played quite deep in their defense, and I think that really threw off the ESC guys who probably expected pressure on B almost immediately. But MYM were just like, we got 150 tickets per round. No need to rush. We've got the bleed. Come and get us.
Pretty much. And I'm kind of curious to see how these guys do, against stronger opponents. Now, obviously, the brackets get harder and harder as you go through. It's quite a natural thing, surprisingly. And MYM, if they're keeping this kind of formula working, and it does seem to be working, they're a very solid team. As you said, very consistent. But they're maybe not the most innovative team, let's say. They don't necessarily bring something fresh every game. Do you ever think that they may get counted on that front and they might finally get worked out for their early game as well as their mid to late?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think they're one of these teams that really they rely very much on their teamwork and their coordination. They don't come up with anything too spectacular. But then again, if you ask me, neither do Fnatic, and it doesn't really seem to hurt them. If I have to point out any team that's really surprised me in tactics right now, it would be UMAV. They seem to come up with some.
You're a fan of UMAV, aren't you?
I am a fan of UMAV, but at the same time, they seem to be very strong on certain maps and not so much on others. Actually, just looking at the brackets, if you want something interesting, Eyeball is losing 2-0 to Name. And
wow,
that's quite an interesting one.
I don't know what's happened to them since the start. Obviously, the game is just starting, so we will jump into this one. But yeah, for a team who was so strong at the start, to be dropping things like this is unbelievable. This is where it matters most. But they're just not, doing the job they need to. But anyway, 49 tickets is what we need to be thinking about here. As soon as we see ESC dropping below that, we are pretty much game over. And ESC will be on the US side, MYM on the Chinese. And what are we seeing these guys going for straight away? Is it the same split we saw at the start?
Kind of. The ESC guys seem to have put a bit more. Well, actually, no, the same push. Two at A, both teams doing the same. And I think this is kind of a normal thing. You need to capture that C flag straight away, especially if you're spawning as a US. So they're always going to be a man out at B. But they've got the pick outside of getting the kill over there, and they've almost finished it off at B. This is looking quite good. They failed at A. They need to make sure that this B attack goes well. Otherwise, they're going to be against that bleed. But they are controlling the houses.
Yeah, they are. They haven't given that part up just yet, and that was what a little bit of the slower engagement coming in you just saw there on your screens. They wanted to make sure they could retain that and at least be able to apply the pressure from there, the ideal position. You can see Janssen is already being closed in on the MYM side, not happy giving them the complete control here. Nice play from him, watching his push up, knowing that these guys will want to reclaim those houses. B is, however, being contested. Kazam trying to edge in there. They knew they had the advantage for a second, but can they lock this one out for an extended bit of time? This is a very different start. Normally, as we mentioned, MYM get that early hold. This time, they're at a 2-1.
They do have the A, and they are going to push into that B, and it all comes down to the house fighting. And it looks like all of the house fighting has eventually gone MYM's way. And that's going to be the most important part of this game, because if you cannot clear these houses, you can't capture B. That's simple as.
Simple as that, and Lagzer is feeling the pain of it, trying to push up to absolutely no avail. Kazam trying his best, clearing the rooms as he goes, but, you know, they have one site. They have C. But MYM don't even feel like they want to push it. Flax is close. He doesn't need to, though. They are very happy with the bleed at present. And MYM dominating the houses, as you said. But there has been a couple of players breaking through now for ESC who are going to get themselves within those buildings and kind of get a bit of a counter going on. Maybe MYM might need to start thinking about that C site if they fancy it. But at the moment, ESC just not breaking through yet.
Yeah, MYM are perfectly happy to play this quite aggressive and kind of a attrition game. They've got the tickets. They don't have to be the one doing anything fancy here. They can play a very close and messy game. They just need to make sure they drop the tickets down that low. And right now, they're doing a great job of it.
They're doing a fantastic job. Let's bear in mind, if the US side on the left of your screen, which is ESC, drop below 49 points, they are out of this. And once again, they had a great result at the start, doing better as they go through. But they want to, get even further. And facing off against MYM at this point is so hard, but still, it's a proving ground. One way or another, you'd have to face them off. And at present, we are seeing ESC taking over the A site. They negated B. They said, okay, we're not getting control of the houses. Where can we take our attention? All right, let's hit up A. And it seemed to have worked for now. But can Explo hold on to this? Because he's pretty much their line of defense here. And already, MYM are looking hungry for this one.
Yeah, they are indeed. And they've got a lot to prove. They managed to get to the final of the last EMS, so why not try and make it a double? And they've got some unfinished business with Fnatic maybe, but they've got a very difficult game coming up straight after this. If they manage to drop ESC down below the magic number, which right now they are very close to doing. They're going for a full well, they were very close to getting a full domination. Punchroll, a one-man army going there. He got took down by 3 people eventually. But with the houses starting to go in ESC's favor, this is the chance for a turnaround.
And they need to do it now. Let's keep in mind that score. Keep reminding yourself that because it's such an important factor. And, well, Janssen, the key player from the first map, is doing well. He's holding these buildings for his side, and they will be able to turn over the B site. But where's MYM's attention going to be put? Is it going to go back to the house exchange, or will they just go solid? Let's hit up C then. If we can't get back in on B, they need to make up their minds because at the moment they could be triple capped here.
Yeah, it's when teams start to get a little bit happy with the fact that they have a big lead, they can start playing a little bit sloppy. They've lost control of a few of the houses, more importantly, a few of the flags. And yeah, this looks like a full domination cap is pretty much on the cards, unless Kazam cannot finish this one off.
Well,
and he doesn't! He can take it out, so this gives MYM a good chance to just finish off this series. They don't have the bleed, but they have started to gain control of the houses. And A as well, this is looking really good for MYM.
MYM, just from the baseline, you think they're down and out. They had a triple cap against them, and they turned this over perfectly. C in their hands. A, in a moment, will be now. Ducky-chan has to face off a 2v1. Janssen pushing in. He'll win that exchange, possibly turn this, but Waffy in the back come in straight around. They're not giving up on this A site, and they're so close to making their way through to the next stage of this bracket. Janssen getting tagged up by the nade. The pushing from Waffy comes out. He does pick up 1 kill. He's going to know there's another presence, surely. He's heard him behind him. That's Kazam down as well. A's been turned by Waffy, and MYM just so strong at this.
Yeah, the game is very competitive right now, but the problem is that the last round is going to start niggling at them. They need to make sure that they can hold above 49 tickets, and right now this game is too close. But it's not going to be likely. Unless ESCs can do something really crazy, I can't see them bringing the series out. They're just not able to break through either on the 1v1s or the 2v2s. And when it has, they got a full domination cap before, yeah? But they couldn't hold it very long. Instantly, all flags were pretty much under assault, and they pretty much lost every single one of them.
That's a very good point, and it's sad to see almost because they are trying so hard, but MYM constantly at their heels. There's never a moment of rest. Already Flax, it went for maybe 10 seconds max into the hands of ESC on A. Straight away Flax is there pushing in, getting that counter cap on, and as well the pressure being applied over at the other sides at C, and there's just no rest for the Wicked. And right now it's MYM just taking control. 59 tickets remaining for ESC. They're starting to go to desperate measures. Kazam just pushing straight in, looking for a way through. Finds Ducky-chan, but can they take C from this? Can they take B from this? No, that's already players set up for this one.
Yeah, ESC are starting to collapse now as they're about to go under the magic number. And with all flags being held by MYM, this is an absolute dominating victory for MYM.
Yeah, showing their prowess is just for not. Look at Wafi's score as well, 18-7. His play as an individual can gift them flags. It wasn't just, he can pick up entry kills. He will literally be the turret on the point. It's unbelievable watching these guys. And don't get me wrong, Janssen played very well in the first half and on the first map, as did the rest, but they just could not compete in this instance. Kazam's still doing damage, but it's game over pretty much in this one. And well, ESC, they did so well to defeat their nemesis of yesterday. Don't get me wrong, they certainly showed they can push MYM to play out of their comfort zone, but in the end, MYM just find that comfortable area, whether it's at the start of the game, whether it's later, they just end up dominating. It's such a good trait to have.
Yeah, it's key, and MYM will be marching on Wafi, obviously proving he is the best UK player right now in Battlefield 4. And really just very clever decision making by MYM. Never really put themselves in too much of a dangerous position. ESC were threatening a lot of the time, but they just, as I always say about MYM, consistency is key for them. And it's something which some other teams, even though they will come up with brilliant plays, great tactics, and some good kill streaks, they can't keep it as consistent as MYM does.
Yeah, so credit to these guys. They will be advancing through. Just going to give you a little bit of an insight with Wafi there as he just kind of shows you how it's done. Running with the Ace 23, nothing particularly special, just the muzzle brake and angle grip, but it works for him. He's clearly showing he knows how to use it, and it's just unbelievable to watch. So, wow. Cleaning house pretty much, and MYM just enjoying it, and you don't really blame them on this front. They will be getting themselves once again very far into this tournament, already hot at the heels of Fnatic, who are currently at the very top of this league. If you look at the rankings over on the Battlefield-EMS1 site, you'll be able to check that one out and see how close this is going to be getting while I turn down the audio of the game. Very smooth stuff here. Being the producer by myself is appallingly hard, so do bear with me, but great game there, gotta say it. Nice watching someone new. I haven't seen ESC playing yet. I knew a couple of the players from different games, but they're clearly applying their skills quite well in this already to be challenging MYM to that extent. But I feel as though they've got a long way to go. Even though the game's got close, when MYM kicked it up a gear, I feel as though there's still a good distance to be kind of catching up on there.
Yeah, they've got a bit of work to do, but they have all the players they need to do it. It's just a matter of time and a bit more experience. Hang in there, and they will bring in a big upset in the near future. But we've got a game coming up very soon, which is going to be a very good one.
So what one do you want to go to next?
We are going to go with Epsilon versus MYM, and it is going to be a barn burner.
Well, it's going to be a classic game to watch, so guys, do not go anywhere. And if you are enjoying this and you want to know when we're going back live and you can't be bothered to wait and look at my face while we go to the wait screen, make sure you follow us on Twitter. It is at They Call Me Pansy and obviously at Dignitas Dog, but do make sure you follow us both. And we'll be back after a very quick break and with an incredible game underway.
Peggy 18.越王勾践卧薪尝胆，最后灭了吴国。这么多年来，给他们造玩具、鞋子，甚至他们的国旗，一边忍受他们的傲慢，一边等待时机。现在，时机终于到了。让他们见识我们民族的伟大。